What is up, my dude? Shmee here, and today I wanted to bring you guys a video going over the build on my astrologer. I got a comment from Bryan Barton wondering if I could share how my points are allocated on this build, and I figured why not go over the whole thing step by step and see how the whole thing works. Alrighty, so first things first, we are capped out at level 150. That seems to be where pretty much most of the community is stopping at. And the reason for this being that the game does match you with other people in a similar level range that you're in. So, if you go into the 200s, 300s plus, you're diminishing your likelihood of finding other people to either play cooperatively or competitively against. As a community, it seems to be breaking down to stopping at level 150, just for connectivity purposes. Then going into the actual stats here, we have level 50 Vigor. Want to have a decent health bar there, so put 50 Vigor. And for the Mind, we have 45. Of course, on a Mage-y type build, it would be nice to put more points into Mind, but I really did have to kind of strategically allocate these points to hit all of the parts of this build and actually be able to use the items. So 45 it was. 20 endurance, that is really low, but there is an item that we're going to use for equipment loads, so it kind of helps out a little bit. And then we have 30 strength. Reason being is the sword, which is Blaidd's sword. We will get into that later. And we have 20 dexterity. Dexterity really isn't important with this build because it is a strength and intelligence hybrid build. And then going into intelligence, we do have 48. I would love to have that higher, but again, in trying to balance out the build and kind of hit where it needs to be in every aspect, 48 was as high as I could go. On my previous build, I had the intelligence up by like 75. It was crazy. But yeah, and then I just have stock faith and arcane, 7 and 9. And this is an astrologer, so that's what these stock levels are at. And that is going to do it for stats. Alrighty, so to start off items, our weapon choice is going to be the Royal Greatsword, which you obtain through killing Blaidd. To get him to show up, you do have to complete Ronnie's quest line, and then he will be right in front of her tower. This is her tower here, and you do have to get up through the manor section, and you have to get quite a bit past that section to get through her quest line. But after you complete her quest line, you will come back up to her tower, and Blaidd will be sitting right here. And you will kill him to get his weapon and his armor set minus the helmet. And if you'd like to get Blaidd's helmet to complete the set, although not really useful in this build we're going for today, it is located down here in the south section of this rise area at Sulivis's rise. And you can either go left or right on either of the walls, doesn't really matter, but you're going to take the walls up to the back side. And up here on this body, you will find Blaidd's helmet. And for the glove slot, we are using the Percepters Gloves, which are obtained from starting a quest line down here at the south section, which I was mentioning for Blaidd's helmet, at Sulivis's rise. And instead of going around the back, you're going to come to Sulivis himself inside this tower. Of course, he will be alive. Spoiler alert, he dies. But you're going to start a quest line with him where he will give you poison to poison Gideon, who is in the Round Table Hold's daughter. And you can either give the poison to Gideon or poison the daughter, although I have tried to poison the daughter on a playthrough and it wouldn't allow me to do it. It never gave me the option, so I'm not really sure if this really can be done, but it's supposed to be an option from the way it makes it seem. But you end up giving the poison to Gideon, and he says, don't say anything to Sulivis, and you come back here and Sulivis ends up dead, dropping his armor set. His armor set is a very solid sorcery set. It's definitely one of the stronger of the sorcery sets. I'm pretty sure it's even stronger than the White Witch set, if I'm not mistaken. Let me take a look. Oop. Wrong place. So, let's see. Magic 5.5 and the White Witch set is 4.6. Yeah, it's definitely better than the White Witch set by quite a bit. Magic 14.5 on the Perceptors with the 13.4 on the Snow Witch robe. So yeah, it's definitely a really solid set. Prior to getting Lusat's or the Azure set, Those are obtained completely separately from either of these two through Sorcerer Selin's questline, which if you want to look into that, I would definitely look up some videos. I'm sure there are quite a few out there. But yeah, that's going to do it for the gloves. So for the shield slot, we are using the Carian Knight Shield. I do have an Ash of War on it, giving it that quality attunement, but I really haven't been using the shield or the Ash of War for PvP purposes as of yet. So that is something to take in mind. It is useful because it scales with intellect, so it's going to give you a little bit of a buff to your sorceries, but it is obtained here at Raya Lucaria, and you're going to start at the debate parlor. You get here after killing Radagon's wolf, of course, in this room, and then once defeating that, you're going to come out these doors, and if you haven't been here before, this is going to be the path you take. And then once you come through these doors, there will be a Carian Knight here that you defeat to grab the shield. This may take a couple attempts. He's not the easiest to fight, but if you come to the left here and go across this bridge, inside this tunnel will be a door that you can open for a shortcut that has an easier path down to the Grace, which you just come down these stairs. And there's the doorway that you come out of for the Grace. You can just run up here, try to not get wrecked by all the magic, of course. And now you have a shortcut in case you die to the Carian Knight. Fun fact, if you can't kill the Carian Knight and you would like an easy way to cheese him, you can lift this elevator, run into this room around the backside, and he will, from my experience, jump into this elevator hole every time. So you can cheat it if you'd like. Alright, and next we are looking at Lusat's Glinstone Staff. It is one of the best in slot staff weapons in the game, being that it does enhance the power of all sorceries while consuming a bit of additional FP. It does have a little bit of a downside there, but definitely worth it when you're increasing the power of all of your sorceries. It doesn't look like I can use it right now, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. And the location for this one is going to be the Celia town of sorcery in pretty much central Caelid. It's a little northeast, but that is where it's going to be located. And then on this back north side, you'll come up this staircase and probably run straight to this sapling to grab the golden seed there. If you do choose to do so, you can jump down on this left side here, or if you don't go up there, you can just run through that pathway there. But you're going to come to this left side through this archway here. And once you come through, there will be a duo boss in this room. Once you've defeated the duo boss, you can head back here to this small room with the chest inside, and inside you will find the Lusat staff hidden away for your taking. Alright, and to finish off this breakdown, we're going to be looking at the helmet, robe, and leg slots, all of which coming from the same set of armor, being Lusat himself. The cool thing about this helmet is, like the staff, it does increase the potency of Lusat Primeval sorceries specifically, at the cost of additional FP, of course. But it is cool because working into the build, this helmet, this staff increasing sorceries, on top of there's a spell that you can throw down that increases sorceries, all of which in tandem using this Cerulean hidden tier that you can throw into your physic, eliminating all FP consumption. You can definitely get into some really crazy damage combos without using any FP. But it is kind of hard to pull off, especially using that spell that increases FP, because you do have to be in a specific location wherever you decide to place the spell for it to work. And I personally have a hard time getting that off, so I don't personally use it all that much, but it can definitely throw in some crazy damage output. For this last set here, we are going to be starting at the Church of Plague, which is in the east side of this ridge along the Radon Arena in Caelid. But once you get there, you're going to head north up this hill. And there will be a graveyard here with this dude And the only thing I can't show you is when you come behind this grave, there will be a big illusory rock right here. You're going to want to roll or smack the rock and it'll disappear, opening up this tunnel. You want to grab the grace, of course. And keep making your way down. Once you get here and kill that sorcerer, you will see a barrier here, and the way to get inside the barrier is an item that is given to you through Sorcerer Sellen's quest line, which can be started here at the Waypoint Ruins. I don't have a whole analysis breakdown for that entire quest line. If you want to Google it or YouTube it, I'm sure you'll find a walkthrough. But she gives you an item that you can use to open up the barrier. You will come inside this tunnel here, and you will find the man himself, Lusat, where you can get the helmet, robe. He does have gloves, although these gloves seem to be a little better in slot, and the legs as well. Random clip here, because I totally forgot to mention the fact that you do not actually get Lusat's set right when you walk into that room. You do have to complete Sorcerer Sellen's quest line and then return to that location where you will then find Lusat dead and you can pick up his armor set. Anyways, on to the finishing touches. Alright, and to put the finishing touches on this build, we are going to be taking a look at why I say it is specific. As I said earlier, we can't use the Glinstone staff, being that we only have 48 intelligence, while it has a requirement of 52 intelligence. But that is where we are going to look into talismans. And for the first one, we're going to be using the Erdtree Favor. It does raise your maximum HP, stamina, and equip load, so that is quite the useful one there. For the second one, I am going to be using the Carian Filigreed Crest, lowering FP consumption by all skills, giving you the ability to use a little bit more there without having to stop and use your Cerulean Flask. For the third one, we are going to be going with the Raven School Talisman, raising the potency of all sorceries. Of course, you want to be popping off with all them spells the best you can, so why not make them a little bit stronger with that talisman there. And then for the last one, which is most crucial, being we do not have the intelligence we need, is the Stargazer Heirloom, raising that intelligence to 53, giving us just enough to use that Glinstone staff. And to give you guys a quick rundown of what spells I have set up currently, although I do feel spells are pretty subjective and feel you should try them out for yourself and see what works best for your playstyle. Currently I'm rocking the Glinstone Pebble, Adula's Moonblade, Rocksling, Magic Glintblade, Loretta's Mastery, Carian Phalanx, Stars of Ruin, and Magic Downpour. I can tell you right now, I really don't use Magic Downpour. It's kind of just there to fill the slots. Stars of Ruin is such a banger of a sorcery. It in tandem with that tier that allows you to not use FP consumption for skills, you can just burst people down from full health to dead before they can even get to you. It's honestly pretty crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if they nerf that at some point. Glinstone Pebble, we've all seen it. It's the bread and butter. It gets you through the game, honestly, but in all reality, PvP, it really doesn't do all that well. I don't use it that much, being it's not the longest range and people can typically dodge it pretty easy. Adula's Moonblade is one of the nastiest sword sorceries in my opinion, being that like all of the sword sorceries, it's huge, and it also throws a projectile arc that would be very hard to dodge, being it's huge and the timing is just odd. I mean, after you see it a couple of times, you'll probably get the gist and dodge it pretty easy, but that first couple swings, you can typically get it off and it just chunks people's health. Definitely really, really good spell. Rocksling is, of course, really solid. You can get it early on in the west side of the swamp in Caelid, along with the Meteorite Staff. Both of them early game can just push you through. I didn't actually do that because I found out about it later. I was probably like level 60 or 70 when I found the two. But super long range, it if all 3 meteors hit somebody, it is an absolute beast at chunking through health, and it also staggers really well. So this one's great for bosses. Magic Glint Blade is awesome for bosses specifically. I love it for bosses, and it works really well in PvP as well because you can run and throw them up. I mean, not at the same exact time, but you can kite people while running, stopping, throwing a sword, running, stopping, throwing a sword. And it's really hard from my experience, for NPCs and boss type enemies, and for PvP and human enemies, it is really hard for people to dodge because it's just has this delayed effect where it takes a minute to actually shoot off, and it's really hard to gauge. Loretta's Mastery, I'm sure everybody that's seen any sort of sorcery content has seen the giant bow, and this is the same thing, but it shoots 4 shots doing huge damage, and you can get people from so far away. This is the go-to spell when somebody wants to run from me and I have a little bit left of their health to hit. Not even a little bit, to be honest. If they have like a third of their health left, I might be able to one-shot them from 40 feet, 50 feet out with this spell. Definitely a fun one. And then lastly, the Carian Phalanx. It is super awesome. You can see it in the background there. It kind of floats over your character, holding up these swords. And they stay there forever until some sort of enemy comes around, or if you run into something. Let's see if I can hit this. There you go. Yeah, if you run into something, they break. And then the way they work is they sit over you, and then, at least the way, from my understanding, they're supposed to work. They sit over you until there's an enemy in front of you, and then once you turn away from that enemy and then turns back towards them, they will shoot off. Sometimes they don't work exactly like that, but I'm pretty sure that's the breakdown of how the spell is supposed to work. And yeah, that's going to do it for the spells. All right, my dudes, that is going to wrap it up for this breakdown. If you liked this video or found it at all useful, smashing that like button would be very appreciated. And if you'd like to see some more videos just like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe. If you'd like to catch a stream, I'll have my Twitch link below. And if you would like to see some clips using this build in PvP, I will have the video in the end screen. That's going to do it for this one. I will see you dudes later.